So here we are back again with Cassandra and I'm on page 17, guys. So enter Cassandra. Hold it up, the torch, take it, let it flame higher, on hold it higher. Let it burn everything sacred to Apollo, Hymen, god of marriage. Hallow the bridegroom and his desire, and bless me, the bride, and my new home, the royal bedroom of Argus. Hymen, bless my wedding as I glorify you with my singing. So here we could see Cassandra is actually carrying a torch and she exits the tent. And she had been dancing erratically inside, which actually gave a false impression that women were actually immolating themselves. So that's the impression that even Talthybius got. What do you mean by immolating? Immolating in the sense in offering as a sacrifice. So Talthybius thought that the women are actually offering themselves or killing themselves as a sacrifice, and that's why Talthybius was actually worried. And now we could see Cassandra. Cassandra is coming out, and she begins to sing, and she says that her torch is like a fire of worship for mainly for the god of Hymen. So if you don't know God of Hymen, Hymen is actually the god of marriage, and that's why she says that her torch is actually a fire of worship for the god Hymen, and she announces that she actually feels really blessed to lie at a king's side or to be a king's wife, or so she is actually celebrating it. So though her mother is really sad and crying, she is trying to change the mood and she is trying to make it really happy. So I think she has got a bit of hope in her life, and Cassandra here attempts to frame her enslavement to Agamemnon as a kind of consensual marriage with an agreement. So she is trying to show it as if that she is agreeing to the marriage rather than it's an act of violation. So she's trying to portray it in that way. So she calls upon the god of marriage, Hymen, and treats the union and the loss of her virginity. And she's trying to say that she is trying to be happy, and she considers this marriage as a lawful one in opposition to the violated one. So that's what she is trying to say here. And here, when you think about the flame of torch, or the even torch is actually symbolizing hope and justice. So the torch is symbolizing hope as well as justice. So she is actually bringing a silver line of hope to all the women in Trojan, all the Trojan women. So it's more like a hope. So that light and the torch is like a symbol of hope. And paradoxically, if you think about the flaming torch, that also symbolizes destruction. The torch, the lighting of the torch, or that is also the flaming of the torch is also symbolizing destruction, because we know that as Cassandra's arrival in Greece, there will be a destruction. There will be a signal destruction for Agamemnon. So maybe Cassandra is trying to indicate that once she has got to Agamemnon's home in Greece, there will be a destruction. So that can be a symbolism of destruction as well. So, because we know that torch towards the end of the play, torch actually signifies the destruction of Troy at the end of the play. So maybe this is more like symbolization of destruction. So we don't know. You can interpret in different ways. So torch can be a symbol of hope as well as justice, and at the same time, it can be a symbol of destruction as well, because Cassandra is trying to say that while she goes near to Agamemnon, there will be a complete destruction of the city of Greece. So it can be different things. It's up to you to interpret. Now, next stanza, you, mother, you sing, for my father murdered, our city destroyed, a sad, keening song. Dirge for our country, but I fired these torches, illuminating my holy wedding feast, a blazing light. My holy wedding feast, a blazing light, to celebrate the marriage of virginity. And Hymen, god of lust, and the dark night of Hecate, the consecrated virgin, is deflowering. So here, actually, Cassandra is asking or imploring even to her mother, Hecuba, that you have to sing, that you imploring her to sing with her, to dance with her. And she calls out to the god Apollo and even to Hymen again, because she wants all people to enjoy with her, and she's trying to give hope to everyone. So that's why she's imploring even Mother Hecuba to sing with her and to dance with her. But I fired these torches, illuminating my holy wedding feast. And look at the way she's representing the marriage. She says that it's a holy wedding. So it's a holy wedding feast, a blazing light to celebrate the marriage of virginity. We know that Cassandra is a virgin, whom even the gods didn't touch. But again, we don't know why Cassandra is mentioning that she is virgin, because there was already a rape of Cassandra by Ajax, and still she is considering herself as virgin. So not sure why that is, but again, you have to remember that she is considered as a virgin, and that's why she says that to celebrate the marriage of virginity, and Hymen, god of lust, and the dark night of Hecate, the consecrated virgin, is deflowering. So that word deflowering might be indicating that she is depriving. See, she is actually deprived of her virginity, so she is going to lose her virginity. So that might be, that word deflowering might be an indication of even that. And then next stanza, begin the dance then. Let our feet take wing, float higher in ecstasy, our ecstasy. As if there were a feast in celebration of my father's good luck, the zenith of his fortune. This ritual dance is holy. God Apollo, lead us to your altar under the laurel tree where I dedicated my life. Now, Hymen, god of marriage, make me a good wife. Dance, mother, dance with me. You should be laughing. Let your flying feet keep time with mine, whirling in ecstasy, faster and faster. And shout, shout, mother, the old songs of matrimony. Sing, sing, women of Troy. Put on your most glittering dresses. Celebrate the virgin's lucky marriage. I shall enjoy a husband bedded by the hand of destiny. So, as I told you before, here Cassandra, when Cassandra enters, she is actually entreating Hecuba to give up her sad, keening song, and she is imploring her mother to join in her celebratory dance, calling for Hymen, the god of marriage, and as well as asking everyone to bless, even asking the gods to bless her, to bless her, to bless her wedding. So here, Cassandra is continuing to act as though her eminent enslavement is actually a blessed marriage, arranged marriage, or a consensual marriage, and as if it is ordained by the gods. That's why she is even imploring the help of blessings of the god. So she might be doing this, she is likely to do this maybe to help herself feel better about her uncertain future. We know that she is an half crazed woman. So that might be the reason why she is maybe trying to make herself happy, and she is trying to see the positives of everything, and she is trying to be really optimistic, and that's why she is inviting Hecuba, the mother, as well as all the other women. And she see, look at her, she is inviting her mother and asking her to dance and sing with her. Sing with me, dance, mother, dance with me. And again inviting even the other Trojan women as well, saying, dance, dance with me, sing, women of Troy. The virgin's lucky marriage, and she is portraying her marriage as lucky marriage. And she says that I shall enjoy a husband bedded by the hand of destiny. So she is trying to make the situation lighter, and she is trying to make positives out of all this, and she is imploring others to dance and to sing with her to celebrate her marriage. So I think she is trying to take a positive side of herself. And even the positive side of the situation to make herself feel better in the better about her uncertain future, because she is really uncertain about the future, but she is trying to make it really better and positive. That might be the reason why she is asking everyone to dance and sing with her. Now, chorus says, dear queen, your daughter is possessed. Hold on to her, or she will dance her way right down to the green camp. So there is a collection, as you know, there's a collection of innocent bystanders, the Trojan women, and the chorus leader is asking Hecuba to stop Cassandra from dancing. That's what they are asking, to make her to stop Cassandra, to make her to stop dancing. Now Hecuba says, O Hephaestus, you gave flaming torches to mortal men to carry in honor of marriage, but these torches are a grotesque parody of everything I hoped for my daughter. O my dear child, I when I dreamed of your marriage, I never imagined it would be like this. Thrust at spear point into some Greek's bed as a slave of his lust. Give me the torch, poor child. You are not fit to carry anything burning in a half-crazed state. So here, Hecuba takes her torch away. So Hecuba is taking the torch away from Cassandra and gives it to the chorus, who is actually exit into the tent. And Hecuba tells Cassandra she never imagined she would have this kind of a forced marriage, a forced and violent marriage, and that's why she's using that phrase, thrust a spear point into some Greek's bed as a slave of his lust. So, as a mother, she says that I never imagined your wedding like this. She laments there is no relief for you. So she is really, and look at the way Mom Hecuba actually calls her half crazed state, because she know that her own child is half crazed. So Mom is really, Ma Hecuba is really sad about Cassandra, and so Cassandra's sunny outlook is actually disturbing. Cassandra's happy outlook is actually disturbing to other women who more fully or more visibly grasp the gravity of their situation. So they other people are really mature and they could grasp the situation, the seriousness of the situation. Hecuba too actually sees Cassandra's marriage as actually a catastrophe, one that will rob her of her agency and any legitimate reproductive future. So Mother Hecuba, as well as the other women of Troy, they clearly know that the situation is really, really bad, and they know that the situation is really, really disturbing, and that's why they are disturbed. Even though Cassandra is really happy about her situation, they actually also know that Cassandra is half crazed. Cassandra is in a half crazed state. All this suffering hasn't brought you to your senses, has it? You are just as much a poor mad thing as you ever were. Here, women of Troy, take these torches back inside, and let her dreadful parody of a wedding song be drowned by the sound of your tears. So here, Mother Hecuba is acknowledging that her own daughter is actually half crazed, and she is taking the torch from Cassandra and giving it to the chorus and asking them to take it away. And even she wishes that let her dreadful parody of a wedding song, let that be drowned by the sound of the tears of the women of Troy. So she can understand that all the other women of Troy is actually sad, and that it's just Cassandra who is trying to be really happy, and that's why Hecuba clearly understands the situation of Cassandra at this moment. And Cassandra also, Hecuba also laments that there is no relief for you. There is no relief for you as all the suffering hasn't brought to your senses, and there is no relief for you. There will be continued sadness for you in your life. Now on page 19, Cassandra. Mother, you must cover my hair with flowers, a victory crown to celebrate my triumph, marrying a king. You must lead me to him, and if I don't seem overwhelmed at the prospect, take no notice, give me a good show. Force me by violence if you have to. Because if the god Apollo exists at all, then Agamemnon, the world famous leader of the Greeks, will find me more destructive as a wife rather as a wife than ever Helen was, because I will kill him and destroy his whole family in return for my father and brothers destroyed. So now here we are understanding a bit more about Cassandra, and she says that Mother, you must dress me up, you must cover my hair with flowers, a victory crown to celebrate my triumph in my wedding. You must lead me to him. Force me if I'm stuck there. You have to force me. You have to force me by violence to go, because she says that if God Apollo exists, then Agamemnon, the world famous leader of the Greeks, will find me more destructive as a wife than ever Helen was. So Cassandra here begins to see her own future. We know that she is a person who could see her own future. So she begins to see her own future, and she actually narrates it to Hecuba. She predicts that as a wife, she will be more fatal than Helen ever was. And she says that she is going to kill Agamemnon, the world famous Greek leader. She says that I will kill him because she knows that he is the one who actually killed her own father Priam and brother Hector. So she wanted to take that revenge. So, but she says that, however, she will not reveal what she knows to Agamemnon, so that she may enact a better revenge. So she is she's letting her plans know to mother Hecuba. So because I will kill him and destroy his whole family in return for my father and brothers destroyed. Father refers to Priam, brother refers to Hector. But that's enough. No more now. Some things are best passed over in silence. Why should I sing prophetic songs about the axe that will never sever my neck and some other necks too, or the son murdering the mother, or the total annihilation of the house of Atreus, all the rich fruit which the tree of my marriage will bear? Look, let me tell you, this city of Troy is far happier than the whole nations of the Greek, and I will prove it to you. Yes, I am possessed, inspired, call it what you like, but for one moment let me stand outside this God drunken ecstasy and speak as though my voice were my own. So now here she says to her mother that this city of Troy is far happier than the whole nation of the Greeks, and I will prove it to you. So she is trying to convince her mother that our city of Troy is far more happier than the people of Greek or the nation of the Greeks, even though they have won the war. We are the happiest people, and she says that I will prove it to you soon. But yes, I am possessed, inspired, call it what you like. So you can call me whatever you feel like. You can call me as I'm a possessed person or inspired person. But for one moment, let me stand outside this God drunken ecstasy. See, look at that God drunken ecstasy. So she's trying, actually, she is welcoming her own fate of that God drunken ecstasy of prophecy, which actually gives her a vision, has given her a vision of the future where she will achieve the annihilation of the house of Atreus and speak as though my voice were my own. These Greeks, for the sake of one woman and one moment of uncontrollable lust, sent a hunting party to drag down Helen, to smoke her out, and it cost them tens of thousands dead. Now, here she says that these Greeks, she's referring to the Greek people and says, these Greeks, for the sake of just one woman, and who is that one woman? We know that it is Helen, just for the sake of one woman, of one moment of uncontrollable lust, sent a hunting party to track down Helen. So they have actually sent down a hunting party, people, a group of people, hunting party to track down Helen, to smoke her out of Troy, and it cost them tens of thousands dead. And just for doing that, how many members have they lost? How many people have they lost? So they haven't won much. That's what Cassandra is trying to say to her mother. So these Greeks, for the sake of one woman and one moment of uncontrollable lust, sent a hunting party to track down Helen, to smoke her out, and it cost them tens of thousands dead. So here we could actually see that Cassandra is shocked that an entire war was actually fought for Helen's sake, just for one person, for the sake of one woman, and just for one moment of uncontrollable lust. And the way she interprets events, Helen came to Troy of her own free will. So all the men, including Agamemnon, who fight and die for her, seem to be wasting their lives. So she is trying to interpret it as it's not someone has abducted Helen. It is actually Helen, her own through because of her own wish, she has come to the Troy. And now she thinks that all the fight, all the lives that has been lost is actually just for one particular person who is actually Helen. And she is wondering about that. And there also wise Scamander, to achieve what he hated most, lose what he loved most, giving up the pleasure of his family and children for the sake of his brother Menelaus' wife, who was not dragged away from her home by force, but ran away and was unfaithful because she wanted to. So here when Cassandra says, "Oh, and there, oh wise commander," she is actually referring to Menelaus' brother Agamemnon, the chief commander, to achieve what he hated most, lose what he loved most, giving up the pleasure of his family and the children for the sake of his brother. So Cassandra is saying that here Agamemnon has come to Troy to fight, to get to get his brother Menelaus' wife back. And for that, what did he sacrifice? He had to sacrifice his own family and children just for the sake of his own brother. So even though the Trojan who have actually won, it's not the Trojan who have actually won the war, even though it is the Greeks who have won the war, still Cassandra is trying to paint in a different way, and she says that actually Trojans, we are lucky because Greek people, especially Agamemnon, who have come here to Troy in search of Helen, in order to help his brother Menelaus, they have actually lost their family. They have missed their life with their own family back in Greece. They're not seeing their wife anymore. They are not seeing the children anymore. So the Greeks actually lost a number of years and even their happy life with their families, and they did not uh, see all this. And Cassandra says that, and see, if it was for a good sake, then at least there would be something. But here, this is just for one lady, and that's what Cassandra is trying to say. And who was not, now she says, who was not dragged away from her home by force, but ran away and was unfaithful because she wanted to. And again, Cassandra stresses here that Helen was not actually dragged away from her home by force. No, but ran away. So Cassandra says that Helen actually ran away from Menelaus. She was unfaithful because she wanted to, and she ran away with the prince of Troy. These Greeks, then they began to die, and they kept on dying. And see, because of this Trojan War, all this war has been happening for just one lady, Helen. And because of this war, these Greeks, they began to die, and they kept dying. Many people died as a result of this war. And for what reason? And now she's wondering, and for what reason? They weren't being robbed, they weren't being invaded, they didn't see the towers and battlements of their homeland being occupied. And those who became the war god's victims had forgotten what their children looked like. They were washed and shrouded and laid to rest by their wives' loving hands, and now their bodies lie forgotten in a foreign country. And again, she's thinking about these Greek people who have actually come to fight. And she says that, and those who became the war god's victims had forgotten what their children looked like. So these Greek people, they won't be seeing their own kids anymore. They don't know how their children would look like when they grow up because many of the Greek soldiers are already dead. They were in washed and shrouded and laid to rest by their wives' loving hands, and they didn't even get a proper burial. I've already told you that for the people in Greece, proper burial is really important. It's like a ritual. They believe that only if they give a proper burial, their souls will be safe. So here she says that look at their situation, look at the situations and circumstances of the Greek. They didn't even get washed, they didn't even get shrouded, and they didn't even get to be laid to rest by their wives' loving hands. And now their bodies lie forgotten in a foreign country. And look at the bodies lying here in city of Troy. All the bodies of the soldiers from Greece are actually lying in a foreign country here in city of Troy. And things were no better at home. And if you think about back at home, it's not better. Their women died in loneliness of widowhood. These Greek soldiers' wives who are back in Greece, they will be dying in loneliness of widowhood. Their fathers became childless old men. Their fathers became childless old men. Their fathers, these soldiers' father, they became childless old men who had bred up their sons for nothing, who have reared up their sons for nothing. To lie in a distant country with no relatives to honor them and make sacrifices at their graves. So she actually says that these Greeks have actually lost more than Trojans. It is the Greeks who have actually failed in this war, though officially, although when you look at them, it is even though it is the Greeks who have won. Cassandra is trying to paint it in a different way, and Cassandra is trying to take the positive out of all this, and she says that, "Mom, we are better, much better than the Greeks." Because look at the situation of the Greeks. They have got no one. Their bodies are here in a foreign land. There's no family for them here. They didn't get a proper burial. And moreover, they are missing their family and their happy life with their children back home. Back home in Greece, because most of them won't even make their way back home. Most of them have died here. So Cassandra is trying to see the positives out of all this, and she's saying that, look, we are, and that's why she says that on page 19, she says that this city of Troy is far happier than the whole nation of the Greeks, and I will prove it to you. So she says to her mother that I will prove it to you, and that's how, then here, this is what she's trying to prove. She's trying to prove by saying that the Greeks lost years of their lives, years with their families, and they did not even get the proper complex burial rites that they would have got if they are in their homeland. Potentially, they being denied entrance to the afterlife. That's what I said. If they didn't get a proper life, they actually believe that they are not. They are being denied entrance to the afterlife. So see, they have lost a lot, the Greek people, and that's what Cassandra is trying to show and trying to convince her mom. Oh, yes, the whole Greek nation has a great deal to thank their army for. There were other things too, terrible things, things better left unsaid, not fit to be spoken by the tongue of a consecrated virgin. But our Trojans, what a contrast there! They won the greatest of all glories. They died fighting for their fatherland. So now on page 20, she says that, but our Trojans, and look at the word our to show that inclusiveness, that she belongs, that she's having that belonging feeling. But our Trojans, what a contrast there. They won the greatest of all glories. So Cassandra says that our Trojan people, they have won the greatest of all their glories, even though they have lost the battle. She says that these people, our Trojans, have won the greatest of all glories. They died. Why did she say so? Because she says that they died fighting for their fatherland. You have to be proud of Mother Hecuba. You have to be proud about our people because they have died fighting for their own fatherland. And if an enemy spear found its target and in a moment made a living man into a corpse, that man was carried from the field by his own platoon. The earth that covered him was the sacred soil of the land of his fathers. Even though while fighting, even though they have been hit by a spear, or if they have been if they have been made into a corpse, still they have been carried away from the field by his own his own military unit, and the earth that covered him is actually the sacred soil. They are lucky to They are lucky to die here in this land was the sacred soil of the land of his fathers. The hands that wrapped him in this shroud were the right hands, according to the customs of the burial in our country. And the hands that actually wrapped them in their shroud is actually our own people because they have been dead here. And our own people have been wrapping them in the shroud. And according to the customs of burial in our country, and they got good burial. They got proper burial rites according to the customs in our country because she's trying to contrast the situation of Greek soldiers to Trojans, and she says that look at the contrast. See, the Greek people they came here and they are dying here, and they haven't got proper burial. They have lost their family members. There's no people to shroud them. There's no people to wrap them with the shroud. There's no one to take care of them. Their bodies are lying in a foreign land. But our Trojans, we are lucky because even though they have dead, have dead in this land, their own land. And they've got people here to give them a proper burial. And that's why she says that our Trojan, we have won the greatest of all glories. And those Trojan soldiers who didn't die in battle lived at home, spending every day with their wives and children, the simplest of pleasures denied to the Greeks. And now she says that look at the other Trojan soldiers who didn't die. The people, our soldiers who didn't die in battle, they are actually living home, but they are spending their every day with their own wives and children. And that is the simplest pleasure, and that pleasure is denied to the Greeks. So Euripides is actually trying to show the value of a family and value of that simplest pleasure. The basic pleasure of a family, or the simplest pleasure of a family, is to be with the family members. And Euripides is trying to show that, and Euripides is trying to show the senselessness and hopelessness of war through these sentences. So, and those Trojan soldiers who didn't die in a battle lived at home, spending every day with their wives and children, the simplest of pleasures denied to the Greeks. And when you grieve for Hector, remember this, mother. So she's actually trying to say to Hecuba, mother, when you grieve for Hector, your son, remember this. Listen to me now, because this is the truth. He proved in action. He was the greatest of men. Mom, you have to be proud because Hector has actually died proving in action. He has been fighting for the country. He was the greatest of men, and now he's gone, dead. And all this has been direct result of the coming of the Greeks. And look, all this has been the result of the Greeks coming to city of Troy. Supposing they had stayed at home, we would never have seen Hector's glory. All that brightness would have remained hidden. See, Cassandra is taking the real positive note about all this, and she says that look, it's all because the Greeks have actually arrived in Troy. If they didn't come here, we wouldn't have realized Hector's glory. So even we were lucky to see Hector's glory, though he is dead. We were lucky to see his glory. All that brightness would have remained hidden if the Greeks didn't come here. And Paris, and if you're worried about Paris, listen. And Paris, he married the daughter of Zeus. Paris married the daughter of Zeus. Who is that? Daughter of Zeus is Helen. He married the daughter of Zeus. If he hadn't married her, who would have sung songs in his honor in our palaces? If he didn't marry Zeus, who would have sung songs about Paris? Any sensible man must hate war. And again, the voice of the author can be seen here. Euripides' voice can be seen here. Any sensible man must hate war. I told you in the introduction PowerPoint that we could call Euripides as a pacifist who is against war. And here, in this particular sentence, he is making his voice clear. And he says that any sensible man must hate war. He does his best to avoid it. And Cassandra says that my brothers Hector and Paris, both of them, they tried to avoid war. But if it should come, even if it should end like this, it is no shame for a city. Indeed, it is a crown of honor to die nobly with dignity. And even though if the people are, my brothers are actually sensible people and they try to avoid this, but if they can't avoid it, they have to face it. And then it's no shame for a city. Indeed, it's a crown of honor to die nobly with dignity. So she's trying to say to her mother that don't worry about my brothers, don't worry about your sons, Hector and Paris, they have died nobly. And they are much better than the Greeks who have died in this foreign land. The really shameful thing is to die dishonorably, ignobly without pride. So you see, mother, you need not pity our country, nor weep for marriage. So that's why I told you, you don't need to be sad. You don't need to be sad about our country. You shouldn't be weeping for marriage. Weeping for my marriage, think of those we hate the most, you and I, and be sure that by means of this marriage of mine, I shall destroy them. Think of those we hate the most. You have to think of the people who we hate most, Agamemnon, Menelaus, and all the Greek soldiers, you and I, and be sure that by means of this marriage of mine, I shall destroy them. So, in a way, she is actually giving a promise to her mother that don't worry, mother, I'm here and I am going to marry Agamemnon and I'm going to destroy them, I'm going to kill them. So she makes it clear that I am going to go happily, I'm going to agree to this marriage in a happy way because my plan is to take revenge on them, revenge on people who have killed my brothers, Hector and Paris, and even my father, Priam. So Cassandra, I feel really happy about Cassandra talking in a very positive way. I don't think she is such a half crazed woman as everyone says. She is sensible at times and she tries to. I like Cassandra. I don't know why. I like Cassandra. She's trying to take everything positively and she's trying to make it positive. She's trying to give hope to other people. She's trying to give hope for Hecuba, the mother, as well as hope for women of Troy. And she says that this is life. We need to move on. We need to overcome this. And she is also making it clear that she is going to take revenge on the people who have actually destroyed her family. So here she believes that the Cassandra believes that the Greeks actually fought over a single man's wife, whereas instead the Trojans fought for the sake of their homeland and families. And that's why she is so proud of her own family, and that's why she is so proud of all the Trojan people. So here, Cassandra is actually offering a revisionist interpretation of victory, condemning the Greek army's folly in waging war on the Trojans, while presenting at the same time Trojans' deaths as glorious acts of heroism. So she's trying to bring that contrast, and she says that it's Greeks' foolishness. We could see the Greek army's foolishness, whereas we could see the glory of the Trojan people. And when in a display of sophistic logic in a false reasoning, Cassandra suggests that it's better to have died fighting for their own fatherland than to fight rather than to lie forgotten in a foreign country. So I think this assertion, this kind of Cassandra, this frenzied girl's assertion would have been really confronting to the Athenian audience because many of them would have actually fought or they would soon fight in the Peloponnesian War. And this particular phrase of Cassandra would actually confront them. Euripides is very clear, or he is clearly aiming to undermine the myth of the glory of war here, emphasizing the sacrifices required of an Athenian soldier who actually risked ignoble death and lack for proper burial, and even an important aspect of any ancient Greek man or Greek culture. So, but at the same time, Euripides is also careful not to alienate his audience because he makes Cassandra to say the dialogue that any sensible man must hate war. She concedes that it is a crown of honor. immediately after saying that, Eurypylus makes Cassandra to say that it's a crown of honor to die for one's own to die for one's own homeland. So even though at the very first half, Eurypylus is trying to show, or Eurypylus is trying to confront or make the audience to think about the senselessness of war. At the same time, he is trying to not to alienate the Athenian audience, and he is trying to say that, look, even if people are dying, people should avoid war. But if that is a situation that they have to go in, they can be in war. But at the same time, Eurypylus is trying to say that it is good. It's an honor. It's a crown of honor if you're dying for one's own family or one's own country. So Eurypylus is making it very clear, and Eurypylus is trying not to alienate the Athenian audience. So he's having a balance of his views and values to the Athenian audience. So you have to, when you write the essay, you have to write the interpretation about the Athenian audience, how they would take all this, or what might be their interpretation of these characters, dialogues, and such kind of things. So you have to understand that Eurypylus is very careful in not alienating the Athenian audience, because immediately after Cassandra saying that it's not sensible to fight, she immediately says that it is a crown of honor. So at that point, the Athenian audience would have been happy, and Eurypylus is trying to make each and every audience happy at that point there. So that is the end of Cassandra's long speech, and it's a really good one. Cassandra believes that there is virtue and honor in dying for a cause one believes in, and she's trying to say that, and she's trying to convince her mother that don't worry about her son, and that she needs to be happy about all this because they have done a noble job, and they have done a good thing. So keep that in mind. It's really good. It's a long one, but try to listen to what I said and then try and absorb all that you can. Now, chorus, you make light of all these horrors and laugh at your own pain. The disasters you prophesy are fantasies. They won't happen. Now, the Trojan women, the bystanders, they're not sure about all this, and they say that the disasters you prophesy are just your fantasies. They are not going to happen. That's what they are thinking. So we don't know, but they cannot accept what Cassandra is trying to say, and they cannot take it in a positive note, just like Cassandra. Now, Talthybius, the messenger, the Greek messenger. If it weren't for the fact that your devotion to Apollo has left you mentally disturbed, you would be severely punished for cursing our generals like that, just as they were about to set sail. It's surprising how often those that seem the wisest and of the highest regard do things which show them to be something a good deal less. The greatest, the most powerful general in the Greek army, the son of Atreus himself, has let uncontrollable lust for this mad woman get the better of him. I'm a poor man, but there is no way I would let her anywhere near my bed. And as for you, since you are out of your mind, we will let your insults to the Greeks and ridiculously overblown compliments to your own side float away on the breeze with the breath that uttered them. Come on then, follow me. It's time you were getting on board. What a lovely bride for my commander in chief. And you, Hecuba, you can follow us down where Laertes' son comes to get you. You will be his wife's slave, Penelope. She is a decent, sensible woman. You won't find a Greek at Troy to say otherwise. Now, Talthybius, who is still on stage, standing guard, threatens actually Cassandra for the comments that she made about Agamemnon. So Talthybius is actually threatening Cassandra. However, he lets her off with a warning because of her troubled mind. Because Talthybius clearly know that she is a frenzied woman, and that's the reason why he is letting her off just with a warning. And he reflects that he would not marry or have sex with a woman like this, like Cassandra. So that's what he says. Where is that? I'm a poor man, but there is no way I would let her anywhere near my bed. So he says that even though I'm a poor man, I would never let Cassandra, this fancied woman, near to my bed. And look at that before on page 21, it says to be the greatest and the most powerful general in the Greek army. So who is that? Refers to Agamemnon. And next page. Since you're out of your mind, we will let your insults to the Greeks and ridiculously overblown compliments to your own side float away on the breeze. So he's just giving a warning, and he says that I'm not taking any actions against this. Come on then, follow me. It's time you're getting on board. And then Talthybius says, what a lovely bride for my commander-in-chief. Commander-in-chief, again, is Agamemnon. What a lovely bride for my commander-in-chief. We don't know whether Talthybius is being a bit sarcastic about Cassandra, or there are different interpretations. Some says that it is Talthybius is trying to see the positive side of Cassandra. So I don't know whether Talthybius is being sarcastic there when he talks about what a lovely bride, when he talks about Cassandra, calling her what a lovely bride for my commander-in-chief. Some says Talthybius, just like Cassandra, sees her enslavement as a wedding, as opposed to bondage or something like that, because he actually visualizes that Cassandra is going to be a beautiful wife, though though he is calling her unhinged or a frenzied person. So I think it is, although calling her unhinged, it is insensitive. We know that it's so insensitive to call her unhinged, but I think Talthybius is the only man who actually is able to see Cassandra as a very complex and damaged human being, and not just as a sex object. So at least Talthybius is trying to see the positive side of Cassandra there. And now Talthybius says to Hecuba, and you, Hecuba, you can follow us down where Laertes' son comes to get you. You will be his wife. Laertes' son is Odysseus. I told you Odysseus is the king of Ithaca, and Hecuba is going to be a slave for Odysseus' wife. Odysseus' wife is Penelope, and Hecuba is going to be a slave for Penelope. And Talthybius adds that she is a decent and sensible woman. Penelope is a decent and sensible woman. You won't find a Greek at Troy to say otherwise. Now on page 22 it says chorus, but I would like you to strike it off, and I want you to write Cassandra, because it is actually the speech by Cassandra. So it is Cassandra who says that, what a clever fellow he is, this underling. So Cassandra is here referring to Talthybius. Underling is like an assistant. So what a clever fellow he is, this underling. Officers of your kind are always hated by everyone, lackeys, slaves yourselves, doing great men's dirty work. So Cassandra is trying to say that Talthybius is actually doing great men's dirty work. You say, my mother will be taken from here to Odysseus' palace. But what about the words of Apollo spoken through my mouth? They say they will die here. They say that she will die here, and other things about her death too terrible to be spoken. So here, before she leaves, Cassandra actually delivers one final speech. So that's why I said this is Cassandra's final speech. She wonders why she predicted that Hecuba would die in Troy, but it seems as though Odysseus will take her to be his slave. Now, Talthybius says that Hecuba is taken to be a slave as for Odysseus, but she says that I had a prophecy that Hecuba is going to die here. And now, as for Odysseus, what can I say about his sufferings, except that what I suffer and what Troy suffers will one day seem like a golden age to him. He will add 10 further years to the 10 years he has spent here before he reaches his fatherland, and he will reach it alone. And now she predicts that Odysseus has suffering in his future. He's going to suffer a lot, because he already spent 10 years here for the Trojan War, and now he will add 10 further years to the 10 years he has already spent here before he reaches his own fatherland. So before he reaches his home, he will be spending another 10 years, and he will reach there alone. There won't be any other members with him. He will have endured the terrifying passage through the rocky gorge of Charybdis. Charybdis is actually a sea monster, so he will have to he will have to endure so many things on his way back home. And the mountain pastures of the Cyclops. Cyclops is actually one-eyed giant who eats human flesh. On the Ligurian coast, he will meet the witch Circe. Circe is another witch, goddess of magic, who turns men into pigs. He will be shipwrecked more than once. There will be shipwreck on Odysseus' way back home in an open sea, and have to face the seductive desire for oblivion in the drugged land of the Lotus Eaters. Lotus Eaters, it's an island where and on the way back, Odysseus's way back, he actually saw a group of people, like a tribe. He encounters a tribe who that's called lotus eaters. So the seductive desire for oblivion in the drugged land of the lotus eaters and the sacred oxen of the sun god, whose slaughtered and jointed flesh will mourn like a human being in pain, a sound to strike terror in Odysseus's breast. Finally, to cut short this catalogue of horrors, he will pass through hell while still alive, and after crossing the marshes of the lake of the dead, when he reaches Ithaca, his homeland, he will find his old home torn apart by troubles, 10,000s of them. So after facing, so Cassandra is here telling that Ithaca is going to face a lot of troubles on his way back home. He will take almost another 10 years to reach his home, and on the way back, he will have to encounter whirlpools, cyclops, witches, and more. And she predicts that he will go alive. He will go down even. He will go down to the water of death and return alive to reach his home, and 10,000 sorrows will be waiting there for him. But why should we waste our breath on the sorrows that lie in wait for Odysseus? That arrow has left the string, but not yet hit the bull. Take me then to marry my bridegroom in the very doorway of hell. In the dead of night they will come to bury you, vilest, filthiest of men, as though the daylight were ashamed to see you, the great Greek leader brought low, who dreamed of mounting so high. Me too, my naked flesh will be thrown into a rocky gully where the storm waters rush close by close by my bridegroom's grave. Wild animals will eat Apollo's consecrated priestess. So she is imagining that, or she says that wild animals will actually eat her consecrated body, her consecrated. She's actually a priestess. She's actually a virgin, God's virgin. And now the wild animals will eat Apollo's consecrated priestess. Apollo's consecrated priestess means it's herself, Cassandra. My crown of flowers, my white robe of the most beautiful of the gods, and all the ritual of Dionysius, goodbye to all of it. Now, even though she understands that her situation is actually that even though she understands that she is actually cursed by gods and goddesses, she still shows that respect, and she says that, see, I'm going to remove my beautiful jewelry because I don't want to make the gods sad. So she is trying to remove all that. Robe of the most beautiful of the gods and all the ritual of Dionysius, goodbye to all of it. The feasting and celebrations, so precious to me, tear them all off, and my skin too in strips. Let the wind carry them back to the god of prophecy, while my flesh is still untouched. Where is the general's flagship? Which way must I go? Who? So, look, although the gods have seemingly forsaken her, here Cassandra remains very dutiful to them, and she removes her jewelry and she ensures that God will not be disrespected even as her own body is violated. So, that actually shows that even though gods forsake people, people are still looking forward to gods. And she says, Who could wait for the wind that fills her sails more eagerly than I do? One of the avenging furies dragged from the ruins of Troy. Goodbye, mother, no tears. Now she's saying goodbye to Hecuba and says that there shouldn't be any tears. O land of my fathers, dead brothers who lie under this earth, father who sighed me, soon we will meet. So she says that she know that she will soon die, and she will kill Agamemnon and she will die. So she clearly knows that, and that's why she says that soon I will meet you, my father and my brothers. Short my journey in the house of the dead, and you will greet me with joy for the victory I bring. So I'll come and join you soon, and at that time you will greet me because of the joy for the victory I bring. The family at whose hands Troy died, and all her people perished, the house of Atreus destroyed. So I'll be destroying the house of Atreus. As I told you, Atreus is the father of Menelaus and Agamemnon. So all the people will be perished and they will be completely destroyed. So Cassandra is actually promising that she will do her best in taking revenge. Now, one last thing about Odysseus. On page 23, it says that for Odysseus, she's saying about Odysseus, and she says that Odysseus is going to go through a treacherous journey on his way back home. So even though Odysseus was actually a victor, he will suffer further because of his behavior during the war, because he behaved really bad in the war. And even though he's successful, he is going to face a lot of troubles on his way back home. So I think Euripides is trying to show that fortunes are actually fluid and no one remains on top for long. Anything, everything is, it's nothing is infinite, or nothing is, what do I say? It's not in, what I mean is nothing is forever. Fortunes are actually fluid and no one remains on top for long, because it is like a cycle. The life is like a cycle and it changes. So fortunes are always fluid. So through his play, Euripides is actually trying to show that the actual people who have won are not victorious either, especially through Cassandra's speech. That's what she is trying to say. Even though it is the Greeks who have won the war, they haven't actually won the real war, because they have died, they have fought just for a woman, whereas Trojans have fought for their own homeland. So Euripides is trying to give his own ideas, values, and beliefs about war. He talks about the senselessness and hopelessness of war, and he also talks about the fate and fortune of people.